All right, let's jump right in, shall we? Today, we're diving deep into the world of study abroad influencers.
Sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it is. And something really caught my attention when I was preparing for this deep dive. Indian students.
Oh,
Yeah, they're now the biggest group at German universities.
wow, I didn't realize that.
It's a huge shift. And what makes it even more interesting, well, German universities, they're not exactly known for, like, these big marketing blitzes.
That's true, yeah. They're not really out there like aggressively recruiting students.
Right, exactly. So how are all these Indian students finding their way to Germany?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
And I think social media holds a big piece of that puzzle.
Social media, you say?
Yeah, specifically study abroad influencers,
Mhm.
people using YouTube and other platforms to share their experiences about studying in different countries.
Ah, so they're kind of like the modern-day study abroad guides, but with a personal touch.
Exactly. It's all about personal connection. And this is one guy, Bharat Chaudhary. He has this YouTube channel completely dedicated to studying in Germany. And get this, nearly 400,000 subscribers.
Whoa, that's a lot of people.
It is. And almost 40 million views across his videos.
So what kind of stuff does he talk about on his channel?
Oh, all sorts. He breaks down the German higher education system, like, how it works, the different types of universities,
Mhm.
offers step-by-step application guides, even has videos about getting a visa.
So it's like a one-stop shop for anyone thinking about studying in Germany.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's not just practical info.
it's not.
No. He takes his viewers on, like, virtual tours of universities, shows them what student accommodations are like. He even goes to the supermarket, takes them to Christmas markets.
Ah, so he's giving them a real feel for life in Germany.
Yeah, he's sharing his life, which builds trust and connection,
Yeah.
something you wouldn't get from a university brochure.
Makes sense. And do people actually respond to that? Like, do they engage with his content?
Oh, absolutely. The comment sections on his videos are full of people calling him Bai. It means elder brother in Hindi.
So they see him as like a mentor, someone looking out for them.
Yeah, and it goes beyond just comments. People share how his videos were the reason they chose to study in Germany.
That's powerful.
It is. Some even said he helped them convince their parents.
Wow, that's a big deal for many students, getting that family support.
Oh, definitely. Imagine having that kind of influence. It's a huge responsibility.
It is. So this whole study abroad influencer
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
is it just Germany, or are we seeing this pop up for other destinations too?
Oh, no, it's definitely not just Germany. It's global now. You're seeing it for, like, studying in the US, Canada, the UK, all over. Social media is changing how students learn about international education.
It makes you think, like in the past, who had the easiest time studying abroad?
Good question. I'd guess people who already had, like, family or friends who'd studied abroad.
Exactly. They had those connections, insider knowledge that could give them an edge.
Right, like an advantage that others didn't have.
And these influencers, they're leveling the playing field in a way. They're creating a virtual network, offering info that was maybe inaccessible before.
Yeah, democratizing access to international education in a sense.
That's a great way to put it. But of course, there's another side to this too.
What's that?
The business side. I mean, we're talking about the influencer economy here. A lot of these influencers, Farad included, partner with irrelevant companies.
Like companies offering health insurance or language courses, things like that?
Exactly. And Farad also has his own paid courses on applying to German universities and learning German.
Which raises some interesting questions about how education consulting is changing.
Yeah, it's not just traditional agencies anymore. You have these individual influencers building their own brands and businesses.
A whole new landscape.
Yeah.
And it seems like students are really hungry for information on certain topics.
Oh, like what?
Well, Farad's videos about the German student visa process, they get a ton of views.
It makes sense. Visas can be a real headache, so having someone break it down step by step is a huge help.
Absolutely. He's providing real value there, filling a gap that traditional info sources might not address so well.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see how powerful these individual voices can be. And as they gain more followers, it makes you wonder, what this means for traditional education consulting. Could these influencers eventually, like, replace traditional agencies?
Or could we see some kind of hybrid model emerging, where agencies start working with influencers, using influencer marketing?
It's hard to say for sure, but it's a question worth considering. It highlights how information and influence are changing in the world of international education.
It's a really fascinating development, and I feel like we've only scratched the surface. It's kind of wild to think about how much social media is changing things for international education.
It really is.
Like YouTube being a major tool for connecting students with these opportunities abroad. Who would have thought?
Right. And it really speaks to the power of personal connection, right? Storytelling. These influencers, they're not just sharing like facts and figures. They're sharing their own like journeys, the struggles, the successes.
Ups and downs.
And that connects with people in a way that a university website just can't.
Totally agree. It's so much more relatable. When you see someone who's been in your shoes dealing with applying to universities in another country, it makes the whole thing seem less scary.
It does. It's almost like having a friend like virtually there to guide you.
Yeah, a virtual buddy for the whole study abroad process.
And that personal touch, it can be really important for students who maybe don't have those real world connections,
Right. They might not have family or friends who've studied abroad, so this opens up a whole new world for them.
Exactly. But I do kind of wonder about the potential downsides,
Oh, like what?
of relying so heavily on influencers for info because they are individuals with their own, specific experiences.
Right.
And those perspectives, they might not always show the whole picture.
That's a good point. Like, their experience might have been amazing, but that doesn't mean everyone's will be the same.
Exactly. So it's important for students to remember that influencers are just one piece of the puzzle, right?
Yeah, they're not the be-all, end-all.
They can provide great insights and inspiration, but you got to do your own research too.
Definitely. Talk to people, read articles, visit websites.
And, think critically about the information you're taking in.
Be a savvy consumer of information, basically.
Exactly. And that's a skill that's helpful way beyond just study abroad decisions, right?
Totally. Life skill right there. But going back to the whole business side of things,
Yeah.
I'm curious about how universities are reacting to this, this rise of study abroad influencers. Are they like embracing it or feeling threatened?
It seems like it's a bit of both, to be honest. Some universities are definitely realizing the potential of influencer marketing and incorporating it into their strategies.
Like hopping on the bandwagon.
Kind of, yeah. They're partnering with influencers to create content, host events, even offer scholarships.
Makes sense. If these influencers are sending tons of students their way, they got to pay attention.
Right. And for some universities, especially those in countries that haven't traditionally been top study abroad destinations,
Okay, yeah.
working with influencers could be huge.
Really change the game for them.
Exactly. It could help them reach whole new audiences and boost their international student enrollment.
So it's not just about individual students anymore.
Nope.
These influencers are actually influencing the global higher education landscape.
Absolutely. They're shaping perceptions, promoting certain destinations, even influencing government policies about international student recruitment.
Wow. It's mind-blowing when you think about it.
Yeah.
Something that started with people sharing their experiences online now has this huge ripple effect.
Yeah, the power of individual voices in the digital age, right? And it makes you wonder, what other trends are emerging in international education that we don't even know about yet?
That's a great question. It's something to ponder, for sure. And it's the perfect lead-in to part 3 of our deep dive, where we'll explore the long-term implications of this trend and what it could mean for global mobility. Thinking about these study abroad influencers, it's fascinating how their impact kind of goes beyond just helping students choose, where to study.
It really does.
It's like they almost become cultural ambassadors in a way.
Yeah, that's a great point. Bridging cultures by sharing, their experiences, their viewpoints with people all over the world.
Exactly. And what I'm really curious about is what happens when these influencers eventually go back to their home countries?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, do they lose their relevance then? Or does their influence kind of morph into something new?
I think their experience becomes even richer at that point. They've got this global perspective now,
Yeah.
They've learned new skills, built connections in different places.
Right.
So they return home with this wealth of knowledge and experience that can be really valuable.
It's like they've leveled up in a way. So they're not just influencers anymore. They're like returnees with this unique skill set and a global network. What kind of opportunities do you think open up for them back home?
I mean, Honestly, the possibilities are endless. They could work for multinational companies, start their own businesses, even get involved with the government or like nonprofit organizations that focus on international stuff, relations or education.
Yeah. It's like
Mhm.
they could be consultants advising businesses or organizations on how to, handle different cultures or expand into new markets.
Exactly. Their study abroad experience has basically equipped them to be global citizens
Well,
in the truest sense.
for sure. And their influence could even extend to shaping policies related to education or immigration or even international development stuff.
Right. Think about it. They've got firsthand experience with the whole study abroad thing. They get the cultural differences and all the practical stuff, different systems and all that.
That's got to be valuable for policymakers.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder if, universities and governments are being strategic about this. Are they reaching out to these returnees, seeing them as potential contributors?
It's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure we have a clear answer on that yet, but it's definitely something worth digging into.
Totally. And it speaks to a bigger point about, really appreciating the experiences of people who've studied abroad.
Yeah, it's not just about the degree or the fancy university name on their resume.
It's about, personal growth, the cultural exchange, the new perspectives they bring back with them.
And how those experiences can shape them, shape their communities, even whole countries.
For sure. And it kind of all circles back to that initial spark that made them want to study abroad in the first place, right?
That curiosity.
Yeah, that thirst for knowledge, that wanting to connect with the world.
That's something we should all try to hold on to,
Yeah,
whether we've studied abroad or not.
absolutely. So as we wrap up our deep dive into study abroad influencers, it's obvious that this trend is a big deal. It's not just about picking a university. It's about shaping global mobility, understanding each other better, and recognizing that individual stories can inspire and connect us all.
It's been a fascinating conversation, and I feel like we've only scratched the surface. But that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Yeah. But the conversation doesn't have to stop here.
No, definitely not. We encourage you to keep exploring this topic, see how these global trends might connect with your own life. Who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to take an international adventure of your own or connect with someone who has. The possibilities are endless.